Welcome to HFY Galaxy Tales. Like this video and subscribe the channel for more HFY stories. The Council of 17 Suns had never been wrong. Not in 4,000 cycles. Not through 12 major wars. Not even when the Kravathi Hive attempted their ridiculous rebellion with those pathetic bioweapons. So naturally, when the small blue planet designated as Terra came up for evaluation, we already knew how this would end. Submission. Always submission. My name is Vorak, and I have the dubious honor of being the Senior Compliance Officer for Sector 447B, 17 species under my watch. 17 boring, predictable, utterly compliant species. The humans were supposed to be number 18. Should have been number 18. Would have been number 18, if the universe had any sense left in it. But I am getting ahead of myself. The first scout reports came back standard enough. Carbon-based life forms. 2 arms, 2 legs, embarrassingly fragile bodies. No natural armor. No venom sacs. No telepathic capabilities. They could not even breathe methane, for crying out loud. Their planet had just 1 moon. 1. The Yelthari have 7, and they still bent the knee within a solar rotation. This will take an afternoon, I told my assistant, Prel. Nice fellow, Prel. 6 eyes, decent work ethic, never questioned orders. We show up, flex our plasma cannons a bit, maybe vaporize one of their cities for emphasis, and they will be signing treaties by dinner. Prel's middle eyes blinked in that way that meant he agreed but was too polite to say so. Good lad. The Council sent the standard submission fleet. 40 warships. Each one capable of glassing a continent. We had done this dance so many times I could have navigated the approach vector in my sleep. The humans had barely achieved faster-than-light communication, still using primitive fusion reactors for energy. They had weapons, sure, but chemical propellants. Kinetic projectiles. Adorable. We arrived on a Tuesday. I remember because their week cycle is charmingly arbitrary. Our flagship, the Eternal Judgment, took position directly above their largest population center. New York, they called it. Fitting name. We would make it the old New York soon enough. Grand Admiral Thexus delivered the proclamation of compliance in 47 languages simultaneously. Standard procedure. Very impressive. Lots of booming voice modulation and threatening references to civilizations that no longer existed. People of Terra, Thexus announced, his voice carried across every communication device on the planet, you stand at the threshold of galactic society. The Council of 17 Suns extends this singular opportunity for peaceful integration. Surrender your weapons. Submit to our authority. Provide 30% of your annual resources as tribute. Resistance is futile and will result in complete annihilation. You have 72 hours to comply. We waited. Standard protocol suggested most species took between 12 and 30 hours to descend into panic, followed by desperate government meetings, followed by inevitable capitulation. The humans took 6 hours to respond. 6 hours. Their leader, a woman named President Martinez, appeared on every screen simultaneously. She wore a dark suit, had her hair pulled back severely, and possessed the kind of smile that should have warned me something was terribly wrong. But did I notice? Of course not. I was too busy calculating my bonus for early completion. Dear visitors, she began, her voice calm as a summer breeze, we have carefully considered your generous offer. Prel's eyes perked up. Here it comes, I thought. And our answer is no. Thank you. The transmission ended. I stared at the blank screen for a full 30 seconds. Prel's eyes were blinking in asynchronous confusion. Did she just? I started. I believe she did, sir, Prel confirmed. They said no. Technically, she said no thank you, sir. They included a courtesy. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sheer audacity. The delightful ignorance. This would make for an excellent story at the next compliance officers' gathering. Oh, this is wonderful. They think courtesy will save them. Thexis. Level 1 of their cities. Make it spectacular. Grand Admiral Thexis selected a military installation in a place called Nevada. Isolated. Minimal civilian casualties. We were not monsters, after all. The plasma lance charged with that distinctive whine that had preceded the destruction of countless fortifications. Energy signature spiking. Target locked. Everyone on the bridge leaned forward slightly, anticipating the familiar bloom of superheated atmosphere. The lance fired. And something impossibly tiny intercepted it. Not a shield. Not another energy beam. A physical object, roughly 2 meters long, moving at 0.97 light speed. It hit our plasma lance mid-flight and detonated with enough force to create a temporary miniature star. The shockwave rattled our flagship. Alarms started singing their annoying little songs. What in the name of the void was that? Thexis bellowed, his 3 mandibles clicking in agitation. Our tactical officer, a nervous Quilarian named Vex, frantically scrolled through data. Sir, analysis indicates a tungsten rod accelerated to near light speed using electromagnetic rails. Crude but effective. The kinetic impact dispersed our plasma matrix before it could reach the target. They have rail guns, I said, feeling the first tiny tendril of concern. The report said chemical propellants. They do have chemical propellants, sir, Vex confirmed. For their smaller weapons. Apparently, they neglected to mention the experimental ones. Thexis was not amused. Experimental? They used an experimental weapon against the eternal judgment. Fire again. Full barrage. Every lance we have. This was the moment. The moment when primitive species realized their mistake. When they saw the true might of the Council and fell to their knees in terror. 20 plasma lances charged simultaneously. Enough firepower to crack a small moon. The humans would see this display and finally understand the cosmic pecking order. Instead, their planet lit up like a festival. Thousands of launch signatures. Missiles, railgun projectiles, even some kind of laser grid that honestly impressed me more than I cared to admit. Nothing they had should have worked. Our shields were rated for capital ship combat. Their weapons were rated for fighting each other. But here is the thing about humans that nobody bothered to mention in the reports. When they build something, they do not build it for the expected situation. They build it for the worst possible scenario they can imagine, and then they add a safety margin that would make a Yelthari engineer weep. Those missiles were tipped with fusion warheads. Not the primitive fusion reactors we had scoffed at. Weaponized fusion. And they had thousands of them. The railgun projectiles were not just tungsten. Some were depleted uranium. Some were exotic matter that our sensors could not even identify. And those lasers, powered by every reactor on the planet simultaneously, focused through orbital mirrors we had dismissed as communication satellites. Our shields held. Barely. The eternal judgment shuddered like a drunk Kravathi. Warning lights painted the bridge in shades of panic. Thexis gripped his command throne so hard I heard the metal groan. Impossible, he whispered. This is impossible. Sir, Vex reported, his voice climbing 2 octaves, we are reading multiple launch signatures from their lunar surface as well. They armed their moon. They armed their moon. I repeated, because sometimes you just need to hear the absurdity out loud to process it. Extensively, sir. That was when the humans opened a communication channel. Not President Martinez this time. A military officer, wearing a uniform covered in colorful ribbons that probably meant something impressive in their culture. Name tag read General Kovacs. He had gray hair, steady eyes, and the expression of someone who had absolutely no intention of submitting to anything. Council fleet, he said, his tone conversational, almost friendly, you have fired upon a sovereign world without provocation. This constitutes an act of war. We are responding in kind. You have one opportunity to withdraw. Leave our system immediately, and we will consider this an unfortunate misunderstanding. Remain, and we will defend ourselves with every weapon at our disposal. Thexus's mandibles were vibrating with rage. You dare threaten the Council of 17 Suns? We have conquered galaxies while your ancestors were learning to make fire. General Kovacs smiled. Not a pleasant smile. The kind of smile that suggested he knew something you did not. Admiral, we invented fire. We did not learn it. We created it. And then we spent the next 100,000 years finding better and better ways to burn things. Would you like a demonstration? Launch all fighters, Thexus commanded. Show these primitives what happens when they defy the Council. 6,000 fighter craft poured from our fleet. Each one piloted by trained warriors from a dozen different species. They swarmed toward Terra like locusts, weapons hot, ready to rain destruction. The humans launched their own fighters. 300 of them. Pitiful numbers. Except, these were not normal fighters. They accelerated faster than our sensors could track. They moved in patterns that defied physics. And when they opened fire, they did not use energy weapons or missiles. They used bullets. Stupid, primitive, kinetic bullets. Except these bullets were self-guided, equipped with microthrusters, and traveling at speeds that turned them into relativistic kill vehicles. One bullet could punch through a fighter's shields and hull like they were paper. In 7 minutes, we lost 4,000 fighters. The humans lost 12. 12. I sat down. Actually sat down at my station, which I had not done in 400 cycles. Prel was making a soft keening sound that Quelrians make when their worldview is being systematically demolished. Sir, Vex reported, his voice now resigned to catastrophe, they are launching something big. On the view screen, a structure was rising from the planet's surface. Massive. Easily 20 kilometers long. It looked like someone had taken a city and turned it into a gun. Which, as it turned out, was exactly what they had done. That is New York, I said stupidly. That is the city we threatened. Was a city, sir, Vex corrected. Now it appears to be a weapon. The structure charged. Every light on the planet dimmed. Energy readings spiked off our charts. And then it fired. Not at our fleet. At our flagship. A beam of pure converted matter, focused through what I later learned was a miniature artificial black hole they had just casually built for this exact purpose. Our shields lasted 3 seconds. 3 seconds of the most advanced defensive technology in the known galaxy. Then they failed. The beam carved through the eternal judgment like a hot knife through Quelrian butter. Life support failed. Gravity plating went offline. Half the bridge crew were thrown against the ceiling. Thexus, to his credit, maintained composure even as his flagship died around him. All ships, retreat. Full withdrawal. Get us out of this accursed system. The fleet scrambled to comply. 36 ships limping away from Terra, their mighty weapons silent, their proud crews traumatized. We left 4 ships behind. Not destroyed. The humans had disabled them. Precisely. Surgically. Without killing a single crew member. As we crossed the heliopause, another transmission came through. President Martinez again, that same terrifying smile. Council representatives, she said pleasantly, please inform your superiors that humanity declines their offer of submission. However, we would be happy to discuss an alliance of equals. We have much to offer the galactic community. Technology. Art. Culture. And, as you have seen, a rather robust defense industry. Think it over. You know where to find us. The transmission ended with what I would later learn was called a wink. I looked at Prel. Prel looked at me. Neither of us said anything for a very long time. We had come to accept humanity's submission. Instead, we had just witnessed the birth of something far more terrifying. A species that did not kneel. A species that turned their cities into weapons and their moons into fortresses. A species that looked at the established galactic order and said, with a smile, "No thank you." The Council of 17 Suns had never been wrong. Not in 4,000 cycles. Until today. The Council Chamber of 17 Suns was not designed for panic. 4,000 cycles of architectural evolution had created a space of perfect calm, with floating meditation crystals and ambient light that supposedly promoted rational thought. Right now, it looked like a daycare center during a sugar rush. 17 representatives from 17 different species were all talking, shouting, or making whatever noise their biology produced when terrified. High Chancellor Mekther, a dignified Vorthian who had led the council for 600 cycles, was repeatedly slamming his resonant staff against the floor. It was not working. I stood in the center of this circus, still wearing my scorched uniform from the retreat, trying to explain how 40 warships had been humiliated by a species that still used wheeled vehicles for ground transport. Order! Mekther bellowed, his voice finally cutting through the chaos. Officer Vorik will deliver his full report. Without interruption. All eyes, and there were many eyes in that chamber, turned to me. I wanted to be anywhere else. The methane storms of Yelther Prime seemed pleasant right now. Honored Council, I began, keeping my voice steady. The humans refused compliance. They engaged our fleet with weapons technology that, while primitive in concept, proved devastatingly effective in application. We suffered significant casualties and material losses. Grand Admiral Thexus is currently in medical care, recovering from spatial displacement trauma. Councillor Crix, representing the Manthari Collective, raised one of her 4 arms. You are telling us that humans, a species that has not even colonized their own solar system, defeated a council submission fleet? Not defeated, I corrected quickly. Too quickly. Repelled. There is a difference. A difference that matters to your pride, perhaps, Crix said sharply. The result is identical. They remain non-compliant. Councillor Brandt, a massive Thagarian whose species was renowned for military prowess, leaned forward with interest. These weapons. Describe them again. Kinetic projectiles. Chemical reactions. This sounds like something our ancestors used. Kinetic, chemical, nuclear, directed energy, and several things our scientists are still trying to understand, I said. They have weaponized their entire planet. Their moon. Probably their star, given another few cycles. They do not build weapons to fight enemies. They build weapons to fight nightmares. Ridiculous, sneered Councillor Vexlon, a Quilox known for his dismissive attitude toward younger species. They simply caught us unprepared. Send a proper war fleet. 10,000 ships. Glass their planet. End this embarrassment. Several councillors nodded agreement. I felt my throat sacs contract with anxiety. With respect, Councillor, I said carefully, I would advise against that course of action. Oh. Vexlon's tone could have frozen hydrogen. And why would a mere compliance officer presume to advise the council on military strategy? Because I was there, you pompous fossil, I thought. Because I saw what they can do. Because I have seen what happens when humans decide something is a threat. What I actually said was, because they were holding back. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. High Chancellor Mekther leaned forward. Explain. I pulled up the tactical data on the chamber's holodisplay. Every engagement was precise. Measured. They disabled 4 of our ships without destroying them. Their civilian population centers were evacuated before the fighting started, suggesting advanced preparation and discipline. And this? I highlighted the energy readings from their planet-sized weapon. This was fired at minimal power. Our analysis suggests it was operating at roughly 15% capacity. 15% destroyed the eternal judgment, Prell added helpfully from behind me. He had insisted on coming, despite my suggestions that he stay safe on our ship. They could have vaporized our entire fleet, I continued. Instead, they sent us home with a message. This was not a battle. It was a demonstration. Counselor Bront was grinning now, showing all 47 of his teeth. I like these humans. They think like warriors. They show strength but also restraint. This is honorable. This is dangerous, Vexlon countered. If word spreads that a primitive species defied the Council and survived, it will encourage rebellion across all sectors. The Yelthari, the Manthari, even the Quilox Dominion, all will question our authority. Perhaps, said a new voice, our authority should be questioned. Every head turned toward Counselor Jaren, representing the Soltari Union. The Soltari were philosophers, scientists, rarely speaking in council sessions. When they did speak, people listened. The council was formed to bring order to chaos, Jaren continued, his luminous form pulsing with each word. To protect younger species from destroying themselves. To guide them toward enlightenment. When did we become conquerors? When did submission replace cooperation? We maintain peace, Mekthar said firmly. Through strength. We maintain control, Jaren corrected. Through fear. The humans have shown us something we have forgotten. A species can be strong without dominating others. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they offered alliance. Alliance? Vexlon laughed, a sound like grinding metal. With primitives? You would make equals of beings who still eat biological matter. I was about to mention that most species in the Council still ate biological matter, but decided survival was more important than accuracy. What happened next changed everything. The Chamber's communication array activated without authorization. Security protocols failed. Override codes were bypassed like they were not even there. And then President Martinez appeared as a hologram in the center of the council chamber, life-sized, smiling that terrifying smile. Good afternoon, Council, she said pleasantly. I hope I am not interrupting. Chaos. Again. Guards rushed forward with weapons drawn. Technicians frantically tried to sever the connection. Nothing worked. The humans had hacked into the most secure facility in council space without breaking a sweat. Mekthar raised his staff, and somehow, order returned. This is a violation of every treaty and protocol. How did you even find this location? Your fleet left a fairly obvious trail, Martinez replied. Also, your quantum communication network has some interesting vulnerabilities. We fixed most of them while we were browsing. You are welcome. You hacked the council network? I said, unable to stop myself. Technically, my 13-year-old nephew hacked your network, Martinez said. As a school project. We just verified his findings. You should probably update your encryption. We use more complicated passwords for our refrigerators. The insult was so perfectly delivered that several counselors were making their species equivalent of confused sputtering. Why are you here? Mekthar demanded. To save you from making a terrible mistake, Martinez said, her tone shifting to something more serious. We know you are debating sending a larger fleet. Please don't. We will defend ourselves. And next time, we might not be so gentle. You call destroying 4 warships gentle? Vexlon roared. We call disabling 4 warships gentle, Martinez corrected. Destroying them would have looked different. Much different. But this is not why I am here. I am here to make you an offer. She gestured, and new data flooded the chamber's displays. Technology. Medical advances. Energy solutions. Cultural exchanges. Hundreds of proposals, each one more impressive than the last. We do not want to be your subjects, Martinez continued. We do not want to be your enemies either. We want to be your partners. We have things you need. You have things we need. This does not require submission. It requires mutual respect. Counselor Jaren's form brightened. You propose a treaty of equals. I propose friendship, Martinez said simply. Or at least, friendly cooperation. With some very clearly defined boundaries. You don't threaten our planet, we don't hack your networks. You treat us with respect, we share our innovations. Everyone benefits. Nobody has to explode. The Council does not negotiate with species who have not proven themselves worthy, Vexlon declared. Martinez's expression hardened. We just defeated your submission fleet with one planet against 40 warships. If that does not prove worth, I can arrange a more convincing demonstration. Would you like us to shut down your orbital platforms? Perhaps reroute your trade lanes? Or maybe just broadcast your personal correspondence histories across the galactic network? I am kidding. Mostly. This is blackmail, someone shouted. This is diplomacy, Martinez countered. Human style. We are giving you a choice. Work with us, or keep trying to conquer us and waste resources you could be using for literally anything else. We are not going away. We are not submitting. And every cycle you spend trying to force us is a cycle you could spend benefiting from what we offer. High Chancellor Mector was quiet for a long moment. His ancient eyes studied the human leader carefully. You have endangered the established order. Centuries of careful balance. Your established order was built on intimidation, Martinez replied. That is not balance. That is tyranny with good publicity. We are offering you something better. Evolution. Progress. A council that leads through inspiration, not fear. And if we refuse? Martinez shrugged, remarkably casual for someone addressing the most powerful political body in the galaxy. Then we continue existing. We keep defending ourselves when necessary. We keep advancing. And eventually, other species will notice that we said no and survived. They will ask why they cannot do the same. Your order will crumble not because we destroyed it, but because we offered an alternative. She was right. I hated it, but she was absolutely right. The humans had not just defeated our fleet. They had defeated our ideology. Submission only worked when people believed resistance was impossible. The humans had made resistance look easy. Counselor Brandt was laughing again. I vote for alliance. These humans are magnificent. I also support alliance, Jaren added. This is the evolution we have needed. One by one, counselors began declaring positions. Not all favored humanity. Vexlon and his supporters were furious. But the majority saw what I had seen. The old order was dying. Fighting it would only accelerate the collapse. High Chancellor Mector finally spoke. The Council will deliberate. President Martinez, you will have our answer within 3 planetary rotations. Take your time, Martinez said. We are not going anywhere. Except maybe to your star system in Sector 229C. We have been receiving some interesting transmissions from there. A species called the Frixani. They have been asking about our defense systems. Apparently, they have some council compliance issues of their own. Mector's expression would have been funny in any other context. You cannot interfere with council member enforcement. We are not interfering, Martinez said innocently. We are just sharing information with interested parties. Educational purposes only. The transmission ended. Just vanished, leaving us all staring at empty air. I looked at Prel. The universe just changed. Yes, sir, he agreed. Should we be worried? Terrified, I admitted. But also, maybe, hopeful. 3 rotations later, the council voted. Not unanimously. Not easily. But they voted. The humans were offered alliance. Not submission. Not even membership. True alliance, between equals. President Martinez accepted with grace. She also suggested several improvements to council infrastructure, warned us about 17 security vulnerabilities in our defense grid, and offered to send teachers to help younger species with their technological development. Within 2 cycles, 6 other species had requested similar alliance treaties. Within 10 cycles, the word submission had been quietly removed from council documentation. The humans had not conquered the galaxy. They had done something far more dangerous. They had given everyone else permission to stand up. I retired from compliance work shortly after. Started teaching instead. Comparative military strategy at the academy. My most popular lecture. The day humanity said no. Students packed the hall. Everyone wants to understand how one small planet changed everything. Prel is my teaching assistant now. He is excellent at explaining human tactical theory, though he still gets nervous when students ask about the planet-sized weapons. Sometimes I wonder what the galaxy would look like if we had just left Earth alone. Probably more peaceful. Definitely more boring. And absolutely less free. The Council of 17 Suns had never been wrong. Not in 4,000 cycles. But maybe, just maybe, being wrong was exactly what we needed. The humans asked for nothing. They demanded nothing. They simply refused to kneel. And in doing so, they taught the entire galaxy how to stand.